Would you support deporting illegal migrants who do commit crimes?
No, I mean, no. We have prisons for that, so, you know.
Even though they shouldn't be here, I guess, to begin with.
Says who?
The law of our land.
I mean, you know, we are a country built on immigration, so, you know.
Sure, but a country built on laws as well that are being broken when people come in illegally. One side says Antifa. What's the other side say?
Anti-fascist.
Anti-fascist. What does it mean to be an anti-fascist? I think you're also missing an S, but what's it mean to be an anti-fascist?
It means to be against fascism.
And in what way will you be an anti-fascist in this upcoming administration? What does it mean to resist Donald Trump's second administration?
I mean, it means not obeying in advance, I suppose, is what they want us to say. I think if they were with the media, actually, you're supposed to find a correspondent or like an official person. Like, I can give you a minute or two, but like, I'm just a person.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your time. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. I am your host, Elaad, reporting for Timcast News here in Washington, D.C. Behind me is the People's March. It's the evolved version of the Women's March. It's an anti-Trump march with an amalgam of different leftist causes, including climate change, abortion rights, the conflict in the Middle East. Let's go talk to some folks, see what's going on.
We will unapologetically fight for racial and economic justice, for constitutional equality under the law. Hey, oh, oh. Elon Musk has got to go. Hey, oh, oh. Elon Musk has got to go. Hey.
You have a sign out here that says, "Deny, defend, depose, free Luigi." Can you tell us a little bit more about why you decided to come out today and the meaning of the sign?
So I just feel that people should all have rights and access to everything. There should be no reason that people are dying when they have health insurance and that the health insurance that they pay for is actively denying their claims. I don't support murder, but I think Luigi is a great symbol of freedom to people. I think he is a great icon. I think there's a lot of class consciousness that had arisen when that happened. So I think a lot of it is more leaning more less of left versus right and more us versus them.
What's your reaction to Donald Trump winning his second term?
Very disheartened but not surprised.
Yeah. Why aren't you surprised?
I feel like I followed the Kamala campaign for a long time. I'm a proud voter of her. All my family's proud voters of her. But with a lot of the things that were ran and a lot of the ways she campaigned, I feel like could have been stronger choices made, but who knows at the end of the day what happens.
A majority of Americans who voted did vote for Donald Trump, something like 77 million Americans.
15 million people also didn't show up to the polls as well versus 2020. Yeah. So he had the same amount of people vote for him this election as he did the last election, but 15 less million people voted.
I guess,
so.
What do you think it means about the direction of our country that Donald Trump won the popular vote this time around?
I don't know. I was shocked when he won I'm not going to lie. I was a little shocked when he won the popular vote because Hillary won the popular and she lost the electoral back in 2016. But, I mean, I feel like a lot of people are more upset with Kamala and just refusing to vote as a option of lesser of two evils. But, unfortunately, not voting is a vote, and that is your choice. Not making a choice is a choice. So.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to come out?
Because I've read a lot of books, and we all know how fascism ends. So I'm just here to put my body here with everybody else.
Do you fear that Donald Trump is a fascist, and can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I think that if you look up what fascism means, which is that we divide each other and have a good guy and a bad guy and always have the boogeyman or whatever. And by compartmentalizing everybody, by taking away the ability to read the books we want to read or to, make choices about our own bodies, to be divorced, I feel as if they're coming up with other ways in which they're trying to keep women, I suppose.
You think Donald Trump's coming for no-fault divorce, or?
No, I don't think he is. But if he follows his Project 2025, it is outlined in there.
What do you think it says about the country that 77 million people voted for a person that you believe to be a fascist? Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, that was incredibly disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One side says Antifa. What's the other side say?
Anti-fascist.
Anti-fascist. What does it mean to be an anti-fascist? I think you're also missing an S, but what's it mean to be an anti-fascist?
It means to be against fascism.
And in what way will you be an anti-fascist in this upcoming administration? What does it mean to resist Donald Trump's second administration?
I mean, it means not obeying in advance, I suppose, is what they want us to say. I think if they were with the media, actually, you're supposed to find a correspondent or like an official person. Like, I can give you a minute or two, but like, I'm just a person.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your time. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Can you tell me a little bit more about the sign and why you decided to come out?
It's appalling to me that someone who is clearly mentally unwell, clearly a fascist, and a convicted felon got elected to the highest office in the land a second time. It blows my mind. It just, I mean, it really makes me sad and afraid for this country.
Absolutely.
For where we're going and where we are. I just, I'm almost 60 years old and I've seen a lot, and it's appalling to me that this is happening right now.
What's your reaction to how in the second time he actually won the popular vote with something like 77 million people voting for this so-called fascist felon?
I woke up and I cried. I mean, it just made me so sad and so ashamed of where this country has landed. It just really, I mean, it's really nauseating.
Why do you think so many people in the country, I guess, were fed up with Democrats? Because that was the only other option. What led so many people to Trump this time around, do you believe?
Fear.
Fear of what?
I think straight white men are afraid of other groups getting more power. Women, queer folk, trans folks, immigrants. I mean, I think that's a lot of it.
You think old straight white men are coming for your rights?
They're trying.
I know Donald Trump, he said that he doesn't support a national abortion ban. Does that give you any solace? Does that mean anything to you when he says he doesn't support that stuff?
No. I don't think he understands what words mean, so no. No, not at all. I don't believe a thing he says.
Absolutely.
So he could tell me he was a fascist felon, insane guy, and I would say, no, I don't think you know what that means.
Absolutely.
So.
What do you think why do you think so many people did end up voting for him? What caused them, do you think, to go for Donald Trump this time around?
I seriously think that it's fear of the unknown. I think that, the world is changing. Women and queer folks and immigrants and black folks are getting so much more power and so much more visibility, and I think people are terrified that their status quo is changing.
Absolutely. I know over the past couple of years we also have dealt with a little bit of an immigration crisis that he fear-mongered a lot around. What do you think about him saying that he'll deport illegal immigrants who committed crimes in the country?
Good luck. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I mean, I think that was a talking point, and him coming out saying, "Oh yeah, H-1B visas are great. Those are awesome," and the people that voted for him are like, wait a minute, you said immigrants out. So so.
Especially on the heels of the killing of Laken Riley, I believe it was, is what stirred up a lot of this sentiment to deport illegal migrants who committed crimes. Would you support something like that?
I don't know who that is.
Would you? Laken Riley was a woman who was killed by an illegal immigrant.
Oh, right.
Would you support deporting illegal migrants who do commit crimes?
No, I mean, no. We have prisons for that, so
Even though they shouldn't be here, I guess, to begin with.
Says who?
The law of our land.
I mean, we are a country built on immigration, so
Sure, but a country built on laws as well that are being broken when people come in illegally.
But people who are not illegal also commit crimes.
Sure. Should there be any consequences for people who come here illegally?
I don't know. It depends why. It depends why they're here. If people are coming here illegally to escape horrors in their homeland, then I welcome them.
Let's say they're seeking a better life economically, which is predominantly why most people migrate here illegally.
Well, yeah, you can't do anything if you don't have any money. That's just where we are now as a people.
The march kind of evolved. In past years, it's been the Women's March. It's evolved now to the People's March. Why is that? What do you think's going on here?
Because, as I was touching on before, it's not just women who are being oppressed now. it's not just women who are trying to take back power.
Absolutely.
It's everyone. It's people. It's the community.
So to say you're glad they changed it to people to be more inclusive. Are you concerned at all that women's issues will go down the list if we're over-inclusive with so many other groups changing the priorities?
No, we're still here and we're real mad. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Just keep fighting.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you came out and about the sign?
So I came out here. I'm from Boston, actually. My name is Courtney Elizabeth Young, and everything you read is true. Anyway, I'm here to support women, and my sign is because Donald Trump wishes that he could be a fugly slut.
Okay, absolutely. It seems as though Donald Trump beat out 2 female presidential candidates. What do you think of the state of the country following this past election?
I think the country has shown its ass plenty of times. So there wasn't. There was a large sense of despondence and shock and grief on my part, but I feel like the people have chosen aligned with what this country has stood on for years, which is racism and sexism and a lot of forms of human phobia.
Is that what you think resonated with a majority of Americans who voted for him?
Yes.
You think that a majority of the country is racist, sexist,
Yes,
homophobic?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, just because they supported Donald Trump, or what?
Yeah, I think if you're aligning yourself with the beliefs of someone who is so blatantly, obscenely racist and homophobic and just, I'm sorry, but not a good person, then I think that reflects on the people who voted for him. Yes, absolutely.
On the charge of racism, how would you respond to somebody who is black or Hispanic who voted for Donald Trump, as he's had major inroads with both of those groups this past election cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just a matter of being informed. I think that a lot of marginalized people may feel like, they in a situation where they're putting stock in somebody who's promising them, a better future, lower prices on things to feed their families and things like that. I think he preys on vulnerable people, and I think that because of the way that this country has gone, I think that there are specific sections of people who are definitely more vulnerable, especially to false promises and things like that.
Absolutely. He was focused on the economy, especially given how the economy was under Joe Biden with inflation. How would you react to somebody who said, I voted for Trump because I'm concerned about my bottom line and my next paycheck?
I would say I could totally understand that, and I think that a lot of us feel that way too. I would just kind of interrogate the longevity of that and how far that the economy is really going to take us when the planet is burning down around us.
What's your biggest fear of what Trump would do in a second term that he didn't do in the first?
Oh, Lord. I don't know. I think it's just have a second term, honestly. I don't know if there's any one particular fear, but I know that as a white woman, I'm pretty privileged in this country, so I feel like it's my duty to stand here and support my sisters.
Because the possibility of Donald Trump coming back is something which is very, very disturbing to me and all of us over here. Donald Trump is a 34 times convicted felon who has a long history of making racist and misogynistic statements and inaccurate statements, pursuing dangerous policies. It was he who was responsible for the January the 6th riot and insurrection, and the idea that he's coming back is really, really disturbing to all of us.
And despite all of this, he still managed to win the popular vote. What do you think that says about the state of our country, though? Despite that long list of grievances you had, that people still voted for him.
Yes. There was a certain section of the American population that supported him through thick and thin, even when he did terrible things. There was the other section that was opposed to them, to him and his policies. But the fact is that not all of them actually voted for the Democrats, because for assorted reasons they just did not want to vote for the Democrats. I mean, if you want to go into that as well, I could talk to you about why so many people in America just don't want to vote for the Democrats, because they're disillusioned and disappointment with the Democrats as well. And so Donald Trump's base propelled him to power, but the fact that so many people didn't want to vote for the Democrats is the other big factor.
Well, 77 million feels like just a little bit more than just his base, but I did want to pivot to and ask, because one of the big things that he ran on was deporting illegal migrants who committed crimes. You obviously have a sign here that says, deport Melania, not Mexicans. Can you talk to me a little bit about the deporting issue here?
I mean, how can you deport a human being in the way that the US government has been doing? I mean, they've been putting them in concentration camps along the US-Mexico border, and they've been keeping them in some really, really filthy and subhumane conditions. That's not acceptable. And when we're talking about undocumented people, I think it's important that we understand that these are people who've been in the United States for many, many years. Many of them are non-violent, many of them have not actually committed crimes, and many of them are working in sectors where other people just do not want to work. Like, say, for example, I used to live in Alabama, which about a decade and a half ago introduced some very, very draconian anti-undocumented people immigration. The economy suffered because we didn't have enough workers in the fields to pick the fruits and to tend to the crops and to work in the other industries where a lot of Americans just don't want to work.
I'm trying to understand. You think illegal immigration is a good thing because you think we need people who could pick in our fields and work for below market wages?
No, I think that if there are undocumented people who've been living in the United States for many, many years and have been paying their taxes and they're not harming anybody, then I don't think that the United States is doing anybody a favor by harming such people and treating them like they're garbage to be thrown out.
Can I ask, so for people who haven't been here, they came here during Joe Biden's administration, do you think that, if he calls to deport them, would you support that?
Deport whom? The people who came during the Bidens? If they're violent and they've been convicted of violent crimes, I'm in favor of the idea of deporting foreign citizens who have been convicted of committing serious crimes, like, harming people, heaven forbid, robbing banks, murder, that sort of thing. But the idea of deporting people who have been here for many, many years, paying their taxes, doing jobs that other people don't want to do, and not harming anybody, I don't think it's fair to demonize and scapegoat such people.
Do you think that coming to this country illegally should be a crime?
It depends on the situation.
Let's say they're economic migrants, which is a majority of the people who come here.
If they're purely economic and they're not actually harming anybody and they're doing jobs that nobody else wants to do and they're paying their taxes and they're not actually harming anybody, I'm okay with them staying and being given a pathway to legal citizenship as long as they pass through certain loops. I'm not saying that U.S. citizenship should just be given out to anybody.
Should there be any limits here? Because I guess that's the issue when you get to millions and then tens of millions of illegal migrants.
I share your concern about that.
Is this tongue-in-cheek when you're saying to deport Melania,
yes,
of course?
Yes, it is tongue-in-cheek to some degree, because I know Melania is a U.S. citizen, but I also know that she probably worked under some dubious conditions herself.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the hat and the symbolism behind it?
So I guess the symbolism is, women's reproductive rights. It's a healthcare access for all is a basic right, and nobody should be telling us whether or not we should carry children or be on birth control or anything of that sort. So it's a private issue, and it should not be a public matter.
Absolutely. I know this time around, Trump said he did want to send abortion rights back to the states to decide. Do you think that's sufficiently pro-choice for you, or it doesn't go far enough?
Absolutely not. That is a woman's independent choice, and there is no government agency that belongs making that decision whatsoever. Entirely independent choice.
Absolutely. Your sign caught my eye. It said, "No human is illegal." Can you tell me a little bit more about the significance?
Well, I think our country is founded on immigration. I'm a generation many back. My generations came here in the 1600s, we can tie it back to, and we all have that in common. And that is a big, profound impact on our economy, is welcoming people that contribute positively and the diversity that brings with it. And I support the right for people to have a better life. And there's room for everyone here. And we have to stop thinking that it's a zero-sum game, and the more the merrier. And there's a way to do it fairly and safely, and I think that the racism has just taken over that mindset, and it's holding us back.
I know Donald Trump ran this time explicitly on deporting illegal immigrants, and he ended up winning the popular vote as a result of that. What do you think Americans are at with the illegal immigration crisis in our country?
I think it's over-exaggerated for political gain. I think it's a fear tactic that is not based in reality, and when you actually look at the facts, most immigrants are hardworking people that deserve a fair shot at coming into our country.
Absolutely. I know to start off, they said they want to deport illegal illegal immigrants who've been convicted of crimes. Would you support something like that?
I don't support people who break crimes or commit crimes no matter where they come from.
But if they're
you know?
illegal migrants, should they be deported as Donald Trump has proposed?
Case by case, not necessarily. There's always a path to rehabilitation, whether it's in our country or if they have to be deported, depending on the severity of the crime. I think it's case by case. It's not one size fits all. It never is.
Do you think Americans are warming up to Donald Trump given that he won the popular vote this time around, 77 million votes?
I think that most people prefer the economy over any other issue, and that was a very big factor in why they chose him, and they're focusing on their own personal economic gain and not enough about the diversity of the country and the multitude of issues that we had that go way beyond the economy.
Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. Let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments. If this is your first time here, guys, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay barely informed.